Today's episode is brought to you by the Twisted Fork. Eat, drink, and enjoy.
Used to think it was long ago, but I can still see the black smoke grow. Back before 1959, back before they tore out the railroad line. Used to be there was timber here, so we took our teams to the woods and cleared enough to keep all our debts on time. Back before they tore out the railroad line. Before the big trucks and the highways, the world came down those tracks in my day. And life was a little different in my prime. Back before they tore out the railroad line. And once we had a thriving railroad town, with a post office and kids running around. There were brand new houses and one was mine. Back before they tore out the railroad line. One day all the timber's gone, and when profits die, you know it don't take long to board the station and take the signs and tear out all of the railroad lines. Before the big trucks and the highways, the world came down those tracks in my day. And life was a little different in my prime. Back before they tore out the railroad line. Nope. Back before they tore out the railroad line. Back before they tore out the railroad line.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm not really sure who wrote that. I heard the Gibson brothers do it.
Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We have Johnny McNulty and Tommy
Yes,
McNulty, the McNulty brothers.
the McNulty brothers. Yeah.
I'm going to say originating from Stamford, Connecticut.
Yes.
Correct.
Stamford, Connecticut.
Currently living down here in Florida.
Yes.
You guys have been playing music all your lives. And on today's show, we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to start off 1973. Take our listeners back. Stamford, Connecticut.
Right.
What were you listening to?
What were we listening to? Geez. Clapton, Hendrix, the Beatles, a lot of Beatles.
Yeah. Prior to that, for me, it was all Stones and Beatles and Monkees in the 60s. And then we
Yeah.
worked our way towards the
Yeah.
late 60s. And
Yeah, by 73. It's,
and I remember
yeah.
profoundly Disraeli Gears coming out by Cream in like 67. I mean, that's when the world started to completely
Very cool.
change.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's one of my top records of all time.
Yeah. And then, of course, like Tommy said, Hendrix, The Who,
Yeah. Are you experienced?
Creedence.
Oh my God.
So when you were in the 60s, it was a lot of radio listening, right?
Yes.
Maybe listening to music from your parents, and then maybe sharing records with kids in school before
lot
you
of
started
pop.
buying your own records. Do you guys remember the first record you each bought with your own money?
I bought a Beatle album.
I don't remember, but it was definitely like a small disc. Couldn't afford,
Yep.
Like a 45?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying
I
to think
remember having Doors 45s early on.
Yeah, that first Doors album was pretty powerful.
Yeah, I remember Light My Fire, burn the grooves out of that. I remember that.
I remember it was Easter. I'm trying to think of which album it was. Which Beatle album it was. I'm a big Beatle fan.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
of course. I
their
mean, look,
vocals and stuff are fantastic.
a lot of bands were inspired by the Beatles, right?
Yep.
And they'll tell you that story, how they saw them at Shea Stadium or Ed Sullivan, right?
Right.
And they went out and got a band of their own.
Yeah.
But, 1973, that was the year you graduated.
Yes. That's
That
the year
was
I
one
graduated high
of,
school.
for classic rock,
Right.
there's several years in the 70s, but 73 to me is probably number one as far as releases of records and that came out in the 70s.
Mhm.
Now, was WPLJ, you guys were Stanford, so you were listening to New York radio, right? NEW,
NEWFM.
PLJ, they were rock
PLJ.
stations.
That's
PLJ.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And back then, the visiting bands would come through and they would visit.
Yes.
And then the DJs had personalities, right? And they would pick their records and songs that they wanted to play.
Right. Let's not forget PLR either.
WPLR. Yeah, that's later. I wound up living outside of New Haven in Orange. That's where my kids all grew up. I was there for 25 years.
Yeah.
And that's where I met all the PLR people and all that stuff, the Breakfast Fan guys, and wound up playing with a lot of those guys in other bands.
So getting inspired at a young age, did you both gravitate to the guitar, the 6-string, 4-string? What?
I got a picture. Is that 1960?
I think it's 67 because I remember starting when I was 12.
And our parents bought us each an electric guitar from Sears, a Teisco Del Rey. And they bought us both the same guitar and one amplifier.
Did it have 2 inputs so you could at least plug in?
Yeah, it had 2 inputs. It had 2 inputs. And then my cousin, Gary, he got a drum. He got a snare drum.
Well, that's perfect.
So there's a picture of us from 67 or whatever in our living room of the 2 of us playing our Teisco Del Reys and my cousin playing.
Now, your parents were very supportive of this? Like they encouraged you guys to play at a young age?
Early on.
Yeah.
Early on, they were. I mean, I kind of remember Dad learning one. I don't even know where he got the guitar.
Big Rock Candy Mountain.
Yeah, Big Rock Candy Mountain on the guitar, and then he realized he had no talent and he quit. And, but that was enough to jumpstart, me. And I wanted a guitar for Christmas, so I asked for I can't remember, $20 or something because I used to look at the Sears catalog, right?
Sears catalog.
And so on Christmas Day, that when he's talking about, I remember running downstairs looking for the envelope on the tree, and there was nothing there, and I was like sunk. And then everybody's like, "Well, why don't you turn around?" And there was the guitars on the couch.
Yeah,
and that's really how it all got started.
Yeah.
And that's when Tommy got. And then it turned into a competition, as I remember, between him and
Which one's who's older?
He's older.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
So you were around when rock and roll was at its peak. I mean, I believe the 70s was the greatest generation for music. Now, obviously, somebody from the 80s or 90s may say different, but I grew up inheriting my older brothers and sisters' records. So I had a very good collection of rock and roll from the 70s, man. And some of those bands you mentioned. To me, the epitome of the 70s to me is Elton John.
Yeah, I saw Elton John Thanksgiving Day. I can't remember what year it was, but it was when he was doing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And I went down there with Tom Versus. He called me up and said, "I got 2 tickets. You want to go?" And I told my parents, "I'm going to skip Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going down to the garden to see."
And Thanksgiving was big in the Northeast, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't miss that day.
And we went down to Madison Square Garden, and Elton John was doing his thing, and John Lennon came out and did 3 songs.
I heard that recording. They also did Standing There.
Yeah, standing there.
Yeah, I heard that recording.
Yep. And we were like, "Oh my God." I think that may have been the last time he played publicly.
I do remember.
John Lennon.
Yellow Brick
It
Road.
was for John Lennon.
Yep.
That was a serious album.
So,
So,
I want to talk about your favorite records growing up. We already talked about Disraeli Gears, but I also want to talk about the shows because you guys were kind of spoiled. Like being in Stanford, you take that railroad, you're in the heart of Manhattan, right? So you're going to Madison Square Garden. You're seeing some of the major acts coming through town. Right?
A lot of gardens.
And then you could go to New Haven if you had to go up to New Haven, right? You could see.
We saw a lot of stuff in Portchester at the Capitol.
Yeah,
Capitol.
Yeah, that was the local place.
Right.
I must have seen Frank Zappa there 8 times. And I remember going down to see T-Rex there, and the backup band, never heard of them. It was ZZ Top.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And they were the backup band.
Do you guys remember 7 Willow Street?
Yes.
in Portchester.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys know a guy named Rob Mathis? He had a
Yes.
band called Rob
Yes.
Mathis and his
And-
boy
and his
Elroy.
boy Elroy.
Yeah. I used to love those guys, dude. I used to
Yes.
follow them all over. And I met Rob a few times, and then he got really famous.
He's a Grammy winner.
Really famous.
Oh, yeah, he did Luciano Pavarotti.
I know, right?
And,
Sting.
and Vanessa
Yeah.
Williams. And
So he
just
was doing
everybody.
in Purchase at the Coke Pepsi Theater.
Mhm.
He was doing this annual Christmas show
I think he still does.
where he raises money for charity, and I have the recording of it from one year. But yes, Vanessa Williams. But he had the guys from Letterman's band. Will Lee was playing with him for a little bit,
Yeah.
and some of those guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was from blue collar Greenwich, right on the Stanford line, and he grew up in a neighborhood with a guy named Paul Isolde and Phil Burnett. They were neighbors,
Yeah.
and they grew up playing music together. And I ended up in a wedding band in the '80s when I needed money. That's what we did.
He was king of the wedding band.
Yeah, and we ended up I ended up in a band with these two guys for a bunch of years. So I
Joe
got to know him.
Bonadio
Then.
was his drummer.
Joe I
Bonadio.
did a lot of gigs with him back in the '80s. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were fun places to play. I mean, I remember, there was towns. Norwalk had a couple of venues, rock and roll venues, right?
Yeah, we had the Night
Sure.
Owl too.
The Night Owl.
We had TGI Saturdays. We had Pumpernickel Pub was up there.
There was an
Four
aft-
and a half, four
the
and a half,
aft, four and a
the
half.
four and a
Yeah,
half.
that was
Same,
the big
yeah,
one.
they had White Plains and Brewster, and they had one in Westport, Connecticut.
One in
Yeah, yeah,
Westport.
Yeah. We see Twisted Sister in there, Rat Race Choir.
Rat Race Choir.
know,
a lot of people died. I remember
Yeah.
they were very popular in
They were
Westchester.
great.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
Mark Hitchens died a couple of years ago.
But that guy, the drummer, lives in Fort Myers, and he produces, and he played with John Entwistle in the John Entwistle band.
Oh, no kidding.
The drummer of Rat Race Choir. What's his name?
Oh, I can't think of
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
Names are the first thing that
Yeah,
escapes
man, I
me.
know.
It's-
it. And Gates Pass, you
I'm
ever
like
hear of
every-
them?
Louis.
then?
Yeah, Gates Pass.
Other bands,
awesome
which you
band.
said Twisted Sister, you said Zebra, I think was from that area.
Zebra was big there. Yeah.
Um,
That place next to EJ Corvettes in Portchester.
Yes.
What was the name of that place?
Detroit's.
Detroit's.
That's
So
right.
Aerosmith would go in there under a different name.
Yes.
Soft White Underbelly was what Blue Oyster Cult went in there.
Yeah.
with, right? And they would play there. Yeah.
First time I saw Aerosmith was at Nassau Coliseum, actually, and they were a backup band for Black Sabbath. We went down to see Black Sabbath, and I had never heard of these guys, Aerosmith, and I think they were touring for Toys in the Attic, and we went there, and they hit the stage. I was like, oh my God, these guys are fantastic. The whole two guitar thing, and it was just unbelievably good. I don't want to say they blew Ozzy off the stage, but they were pretty impressive.
Is it safe to say they're one of your top American bands? Like I always ask people a list, like what are your top American rock and roll bands? Eagles are in that list, right? Kiss is in that list.
Yeah.
Beach Boys, Aerosmith, right?
Yeah. Kiss too. I remember seeing Kiss at the Beacon Theater, and we didn't really know who they were. I went there with Greg Ritchie, and we went in there, and it was like, oh my God, look at these guys, and they were fantastic.
It depends what age you are, I guess, at that time.
Yeah.
I think Kiss was the greatest, and I'm happy.
Kiss is awesome.
But at the same time, I took a lot of crap as a kid because I was a Kiss fan, and my friends were like, "You like Kiss? You must be an idiot."
No, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
The show.
Greatest show you'll ever
Oh
see.
yeah, the show. I went and saw them. Probably about 10 years ago now with Joe Silvers. He had tickets in Bridgeport. I don't know what they call that venue there now. They have like a Coliseum kind of thing in Bridgeport now. And we went to see them, and they were still great.
They're
They still
fun.
had the huge show,
Let's talk about the British bands that came in. Let's talk about the Stones and then the Zepp, right? The Cream.
I was a big Yes fan, actually.
Yeah, we
And,
were.
that's a huge Yes fan. I don't know how many of their shows I saw.
That Close to the Edge album was
Yeah,
always on the
Close to the
turntable in our
Edge.
neighborhood.
Unbelievably good.
Johnny Winterand was on that
Johnny
turntable
Winterand, that's
all the
another
time.
one.
See, back then it
Yeah.
wasn't
Right.
called prog rock; it was just rock and roll.
Yeah,
Rock
It
and
got classified later as that,
that's true.
Right.
There were not as many labels and buckets back
Right.
then. That's right.
but it did have more of a synthesizer keyboard sound than other bands at the time.
Rick Wakeman.
Just like
ELP.
just like
ELP,
ELP. That's a whole
same-
different.
Yeah.
That's a whole different category. I mean,
Yeah.
they were amazing.
Yeah.
But
I saw
Deep
them in New
Purple,
Haven.
I think, introduced a lot of people to like an organ kind of sound, like a Hammond and a rock and roll band. Am I right?
I love that too.
Yeah, John Ward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were from the area.
One of those cats
Stanford
lives in
area.
Greenwich
Yeah.
still. Was it the bass player of Deep Purple? I don't know if he's still alive.
Drummer.
One of those cats lived in Greenwich.
Now, Blackmore
No.
was up there too, and they used to come down to that place down in in Springdale, the industrial park area. There was a bar down there.
Yeah, that was the
Ugh.
Hideaway.
Well,
Rocket.
yeah, later on it became a
Rocket
strip
was
bar,
the
but
name
prior,
of it.
yeah, the Rocket, and
Yeah,
prior to that
the
was something
Rocket.
else.
Yeah.
But he used to drop in there all the time and play with the locals.
The town of Greenwich, I'm on this email list. they're still doing concerts, but they do like Eric Clapton played there.
Oh, they do
Tedeschi
unbelievable.
Trucks. I'm like,
money.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You bring in Clapton, that's got to cost a lot of money, right?
Tedeschi and Trucks, what, last year or the year
Yeah.
before? And
Yeah, I think they
you know,
did like a Dead thing before
Yeah.
the Dead, like
Yeah.
many years ago. While I think with
Yeah.
Phil Lesh, after
Sure.
Jerry had died, they had
Yep.
something going on with them.
Yeah.
they don't fool around.
Yeah. Awesome. No, they don't. They're,
Yeah.
they're good. And Westport too. Westport brings.
So did you guys, were you introduced, like me and my friends were introduced to Southern rock and we got hooked. We were all huge Skinner fans.
Yeah.
We used to buy Confederate flags and we used to hang them up. Like we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We thought they looked cool.
Well,
We
it was
used to drink
Molly,
Southern
Molly
Comfort.
Hatchet for me. I loved Molly Hatchet. I saw them on the west side of New York there. They used to do
They were
concerts.
killer,
at
that
the
first
pier.
album.
Yeah.
But is it safe to say that the Allman Brothers are like the kings of Southern
Yes.
rock?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you remember those
Absolutely.
Beacon Theater runs they used
Yes.
to do?
Oh yeah.
We
How
were there
great
all the
Been,
time.
been
How
to
great was
many
that?
of them. Yeah.
How
I
great was
lived
that?
down there
Yeah.
then.
Right.
You know, it was right down the road.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great.
He was right there.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have no idea how great that was. I mean, we were spoiled, man. And
Oh,
because it was a small, intimate theater. You're sitting right
Yes.
there. You're watching Dickie Betts in his prime.
all those small theaters. We used to go down to Passaic, New Jersey. They had a Capitol Theater there. We always had great bands there.
There's sort of tubes down there
Yeah.
one time.
The Tubes.
Yeah.
So, see, you guys have been seeing so many shows. Is it say? Could I ask the question? What were your favorite shows? I mean, can you have a top three of your favorite live shows?
Yeah, well, I got your ticket to the
Yeah,
wall.
you got my
to
ticket
to the original wall.
Yeah.
Right, 15th row center.
So the original wall. So did they tour it like they do now? Like they had, like
Oh yeah, they built a wall while they were doing before intermission, and when they did the last brick in the wall,
Yep.
the last brick went up, and all of a sudden you realize that you're just looking at a wall and it was intermission. And when they came back, it started off at the top. They put every pin. It was a quad system too. The first time I ever heard that. And they put all the pin spots at the top of the wall and this one little tight thing. And Gilmore came out and did Comfortably Numb and sang it and played it from the top of the wall. It was the most mind-blowing
bet it
rock
was.
and
And
roll
everybody was
moment I
stoned out of their
ever
minds.
saw
Yeah.
in my entire life.
there was a shit ton of
Yeah.
weed in that at that.
Yeah,
was just
that
unbelievable.
quad thing you're talking
Yeah.
about. First time I ever saw that was in the garden. Was Yes. And it was close to the
Yeah.
edge with the birds flying around, and they sounded like they were flying
You
around.
know what I think?
outside.
I think that the technology took a major step forward around that time.
Yep.
So they were really proud to give you that kind of surround sound or that wall of sound or whatever, right?
Yeah, that and the laser lights. First time I ever saw laser lights was at the garden, and it was Led Zeppelin. And they did No Quarter. It was my hair's standing up just thinking about it. Unbelievable.
So I never saw Zeppelin. Did you see Zeppelin?
Yeah, so is that one.
How would
In
you
Long
explain that experience? Because weren't they something like no one's ever heard anything like that at that time?
Oh yeah,
Someone
when
said it was
that
like a
came
runaway.
out,
It was like
yeah.
a runaway freight
Yeah,
train.
what's his name from Springdale there?
I can't
That's-
remember the teacher's name, but the first time I heard that Led Zeppelin 1, the music teacher played it in music class in junior high. I can't remember which grade I was in.
What a
but-
great guy. He turned a lot
But
of kids
he,
on. to-
he said,
Yeah.
"Wait till you kids hear this," and we just sat in class and listened to that album, and blew our minds.
Yeah, it
But
was a
Led
game
Zeppelin
changer
2.
for
I mean,
sure.
I love that one, but the Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin 2, my head blew off the top. of my
Yeah,
head.
because I think I
Mine
think
blew right out.
Sure.
I think they're known. I mean, if you had to rank their albums, I think commercially or you know, or publicly, I might say 2 was like the one. I mean, it
Yeah.
started with 1, obviously,
Sure.
but then 2, but 4 was what got Stairway got them on the
Yeah.
radio and the
Yeah.
rock and roll. But you know what's interesting about that music? So a lot of these British guys would come into America, right, and they would go through the American kids' garbages, and they would pull out these American blues records, right, and they basically ran back to England and regurgitated it back
Sure.
to us, like.
Yes, they
The
did.
first Stones record, the first Zeppelin, that's American blues redone. Am I right?
The Beatles too, same thing.
The English taught the American black blues to white kids.
Because their
Simple
the
as that.
racist fathers back then,
That's just
especially in the
that's
South,
just
wouldn't
the
let
way
their
it
kids
was.
Sure.
Right.
listen to it.
That's right. That's
I
right.
remember asking my father one time, "You've never heard this stuff? How is that even possible?" Ray Charles, I was asking him, He's like, "Nah, we had our music and they had theirs." That was his response.
Yeah.
And that's like telling because
So,
that's kind of
do
how it
you
was. I
think
guess.
Elvis was the bridge because Elvis was white, obviously, and he was good looking. So I think a lot of people accepted Elvis. Oh, we can listen to Elvis because as opposed to at the time, like Good Golly Miss Molly, who was that guy?
Oh,
Oh, Jerry Lee
yeah,
Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah,
And Fats Domino and those kind of people.
yeah.
Yeah. My sister, who was 10 years older, she was into Elvis. That really freaked my parents out.
Yeah, well,
You know?
he was a big sex
Yeah.
symbol,
Yeah,
He
well,
was
that's the thing. It was a big
provocative,
sex symbol.
See, but
That's
that's
right.
not funny how today it's like no big deal. But I guess the way he danced was provocative.
Yes.
I mean, what wasn't like Ed Sullivan and those guys like back then? They're like shoot him from the waist up. because he was
'cause
grinding.
Yeah, grinding and stuff. Sure.
But the women were going nuts, right, in the audience.
Oh yeah, they love
I mean,
that.
supposedly women at the Beatles shows were they would actually pee in their pants.
Oh yeah, pass out and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really bizarre.
Music has that effect on people.
I
right?
guess, you
Yeah.
know.
But I mean, so when the Beatles came, people went nuts. The Stones came, and they went nuts too. But it was two different. See, I'm more of a Stones guy than a Beatles guy, and I think
Right.
I always ask that question because there's two different types of people. You can like them both, yeah, of course, but the Beatle people and the Stones people are different people, don't you think?
Well, Stones had a harder edge. I mean,
Yeah.
you get your yayas out thing. That I love.
But you also
I
made it
love
clear that I like to take drugs and party if you're a Stones guy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like you're making a statement.
I don't know. In our generation, it wasn't much different
Yeah,
with
the
anybody
Beatle
else
people
you
were too.
liked.
Yeah, right.
But the Beatles were just so radio friendly, such great song. I mean, like to this day, you probably still listen to the Beatles, right?
I do.
And you play some of their music. You're like,
Yeah, we
holy
do.
shit, this stuff's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right?
Their vocals. Their vocals are second to none.
But Paul McCartney to me was, I mean, I know Lennon was great, but I think he was the heart and soul of that. I mean, some of his bass playing and some of the things that he did.
I disagree. I think John Lennon was the driving force.
Interesting.
I think he wrote.
That could be a debate.
Yeah, it could be. You know, but yeah, I mean, I always liked McCartney as I was growing up, but as I got older and I played more of the music and listened more to stuff that John Lennon wrote and the impact that he had on the band, it seems to me that he was probably had more impact on the band than
Okay.
any of them.
And then where does George Harrison fit in that whole mix?
Well, I think they tried to stifle George. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
you know,
we've
but he
done
wrote
that
some
over.
fantastic tunes, and his guitar work was phenomenal.
So do you think it's possible that he came with a great song that we know and love today, but back then they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's
Yes, they
Yeah.
absolutely did that to him. Yep.
Like the Eagles did to Felder, right?
Don Felder, well, the only thing he's credited for in my mind, you know more than I do, is the riff on Hotel California, right? That was like his baby.
Yeah, that's his.
Yeah, I read somewhere where he brought a tune in and demanded the tune was going to be on the record, and he sang the tune, and then they went in and Henley sang the tune over while he wasn't there, and they released
Well,
it.
I think Netflix has a wonderful two-part thing about the
Yeah.
Eagles,
Oh.
if you haven't seen it. But let's talk about the Eagles because they're at one point they had the #1 selling record, and if you were growing up in the '70s, any radio station was playing the Eagles. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
They were all over the radio.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
But that greatest
what's
hits
not to
album was
love?
amazing.
James Dean in the first time I ever saw the Eagles was in Passaic, New Jersey, and we went down to see Dan Fogelberg. I don't know if you ever heard.
I remember
of
him.
Yeah,
I remember Dan
We went to see
Fogelberg.
Dan Fogelberg, and we just thought he was going to be a solo thing. We got there, and on the marquee, the backup band was the Eagles, and I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
my god!"
You gotta start somewhere.
And I knew who the Eagles were. You know, they were doing James Dean and all that kind of stuff, and it was fantastic.
So I saw the Eagles not too long ago in Tampa.
Mhm.
This is before they left to do their thing in the Sphere in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Have you guys been to that Sphere yet?
No, but
I
I did
have
see
to
that
go.
show. I did
It's
see
on
that
my
show
list.
twice.
So the show I'm talking about, where it was like they put the needle on the record and they did it straight through. You know, like somebody came out and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that to me was one of the greatest concerts I ever went to from audio. I mean, it sounded amazing to me. It was perfect.
Yeah,
Their vocals. Oh,
that's the best singing I heard live in the last
yeah.
Yes,
30 or 40 years, really.
and Vince
You
Gill
know,
was
yeah,
huge.
yeah. Vince Gill's great,
Well, he's
fantastic.
just fantastic. Vince
Yeah.
Gill, you know.
Yeah.
He's Vince Gill.
But I mean, they had to bring in a couple guys to replace
Well, they brought Fry's kid in, and he did a
Fry.
great job.
Yeah,
For you know,
but he
for
wasn't
sure.
at the show that I went to.
No,
He was not at that show. No.
really?
Yeah, he was out sick or something.
That's strange because I've seen
Yeah.
him. I've seen the Eagles
Yeah.
twice in the last 3 years.
No, but this is longer than that.
Okay.
This is when he
Yeah.
first came around.
Yeah.
Tampa.
I haven't seen him lately, but I would like to go see him.
They had that guitar player. He just quit the Eagles from some medical problems. Stewart, can't remember his last name. Boy, was that guy good. He was with Sean Colvin. He did all
Yeah, yeah.
Sean Colvin's albums, and
Sean Colvin's
Henley
awesome.
stole him. And boy, that guy can play.
So because you guys are so fluent in all this music, right? How many songs do you know? Like if I asked you, how many songs can you sing and play on the guitar? I'll let you can each answer that. What would you say?
I have no idea.
We're talking 500 songs.
I have no idea. I just
I don't either. I
just
couldn't even begin to.
I spent 25 or 27 years just going out and playing 4 gigs a weekend and doing songs that people asked me for once, writing the chart, doing it, and some of them I kept, some never do them again.
Take the load off, baby. Take the love free.
maybe it's safe to say you've forgotten more songs than you currently play, or no?
Yeah, I mean,
That
when I
may
was a
be
kid,
true.
when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I played, rock and roll circuit band, but as soon as the kids were born, I needed money.
Yeah.
So I had to go learn major seventh chords and minor seven flat fives and get a real book, you know,
A real book.
and
Yeah,
go out there
a
and put a
real book.
tuxedo on and play weddings.
At what point
Yeah.
in your lives were you
Uh,
playing out live and you're like, holy shit, I like this. I'm actually good at it. I'm getting paid. Like you actually something went off in your brain and said, like, I can do this. Do you remember that moment?
yeah, I remember being more like necessity for me. You need the money. But yes,
Yeah.
yes, I had a working circuit band for a couple of years there in the late 70s, where I just felt like, I was doing this. It was a second job to the railroad, which I always worked since 1974.
Was the railroad more like a 9 to 5 so you could do your
Well,
stuff?
no, the railroad was
Oh,
never
no.
9 to 5. It's like you could make it work because you could bid jobs on night shifts, afternoon shifts, certain days off. You seniority, union, and you could figure out what worked for you so that you could go out and play in the band.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember a couple of times I actually quit a management job that I had on the railroad so I could go back and be a union person and pick the off hours so I could go out and play in a rock and roll band.
And
Because you loved it.
Yeah,
I used
exactly.
to work what they called the extra list.
Yeah.
So, which would cover people's vacations and days off and holidays and things like that. So I could manipulate my
That too.
days.
Yep.
So I worked the extra list for like 15 years.
Now, were you guys in bands together at different times, different
We
points?
never played together.
Really?
No.
Nope.
Now, why do you suppose that is?
I have no idea.
Life. He was doing his thing.
Yeah.
I was doing mine. We used to get
Holidays.
together family parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
holidays.
Well, I'll tell you another
Yeah.
reason. Probably there were so many great musicians around you that you already had. You had as many. You had a choice of guys to play with, right? I mean,
Well, I don't even know if that was it.
Well, you had a whole crew.
Yeah, I had a crew
and
of
I had
people
a
I
whole
played
crew
with.
that
And, and I used to do a lot of pickup stuff with people, and he had his crew that he played with. And he did his thing, I did my thing. And like I said, we get together, Easter, Thanksgiving, and once a year.
was
at
there any
Al's party.
ever any competition? Like, what are you doing? What are you learning? And maybe like you were a little. He was like a little ahead of you, or vice versa,
No.
as far as talent, technique.
And I got into the bluegrass thing too, which
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
went a whole other direction with
yeah.
the music.
we bought some property in Massachusetts, and we went up to do the closing to sign. I said to my wife, "Hey, is there something up here we can do rather than just go sign the papers and leave?" And she said, "Yeah, I found this bluegrass thing, called Noppet Hill Bluegrass Festival." I said, "Okay." So I had a motorhome. We went up there, and you could park your motorhome and put out your awning, and the stage was right there, so you never had to leave your camp spot. And they had Del McCrory and this Carl Shiflett and Big Country and like all these fantastic bluegrass guys, Buddy Miriam out of Long Island. And I can remember sitting there with my wife and looking at the banjo players and saying, I'm going to do that.
So that's a great question. So what instruments do you currently play?
I play the guitar. I play the mandolin. I play the dobro, the square
Sure.
neck dobro. And I
Like
play
Curtis Lowe.
and like Curtis Lowe, yeah. And I play the banjo.
So when you play the banjo, is that a difficult thing to play? I mean, like,
It's
explain that to the listener that perhaps doesn't know.
It's different. The groove is different. It's just, I love it. I mean,
But are you doing rhythm at the same time? I mean, are you?
yeah, you're sort of doing, no, it's more of a melodic thing, I think. The melody, if you pick out the melodies on it and kind of play those through the stuff that you're doing. And I'll tell you what, I loved it. And the bluegrass festivals was when we started going to these festivals and doing this, and I met a lot of people there, and they're the most relentless players ever. That they will play all day, all night. I went to this Noppet Hill thing. I go up on the hill and I meet these guys, and I said, "Can I pick with you?" I said, they're all playing Martins. I had a guild. I said, "I have a Martin." They go, "Is it in tune?" I said, "Yeah, it's in tune. Come on in." And I played with those guys until I think it was probably 4 a.m. And
I'm sure there's a lot of whiskey and beer going
oh
on.
yeah, whiskey out of the bottle. You drink.
Sure.
And their wives were like bringing them food and putting them on little tables next to them so they could eat in between
so cool.
songs. And I left at 4 a.m. I went down. I went to sleep. I got up around 9. They were still playing.
They love it. They love it.
So now I do this with my friends. I have guys that I see once a year, and we go do this festival in Connecticut called the Podunk. And one of them was like two of the guys I played with were teachers for my kids, And one of them was the bass player who I met through another pickup band that I was doing. Um, and he said, he asked me into their thing. He said, you know, I play some bluegrass with these guys and they're looking for a banjo player. I know you play banjo. Maybe you could sit. I said, I can't commit because of my job. I said, but I'll make everything I can make. We wound up being a band called One Way Track. And now I see these guys once a year and we go play at this festival and there's no rehearsal. There's no nothing. You show up, you start drinking, you know, until it's your time to go out there for your hour and a half set or whatever. And we have a blast.
What do you think of the song, the Deliverance song from the movie?
It's the one everybody associates with bluegrass, you know.
Right.
For that one, A Man of Constant Sorrow, that's another one.
Right.
But there are so many fantastic bluegrass songs. It's
Yeah, he's been teaching me that stuff.
you know,
Kind of picked that up from
it's
him.
great fun.
You know, we get together and I don't know what he's doing. And the way they write these songs, these bluegrass people, they don't stick with an easy A, B, C format. You know, they always mess with it.
Yeah,
So to learn it one year, I said, I can't keep going to these family parties.
Is it like a different language in some case?
it is. You know, it sounds so simple. Bluegrass music sounds simple.
What,
You know,
are the
it's
origins
OG.
from Europe when the European settlers came here?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's it's very close to the Irish thing. You know, we play the Irish music too.
Yeah, I want to talk
And,
about that next.
and it's very closely associated with that. I think that the Irish people that went to the Appalachian Mountains,
Yeah.
and handed off these songs to these people, or these melodies or whatever. But that whole thing and the whole country music thing with the Carter family and all of that, where they used to go deep into the mountains and just meet people and kind of steal their melodies. And
Ken
then take
Burns does a documentary on country music. Have you seen it?
fantastic.
It's
Really
excellent.
good.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Really
You
good.
know, matter of fact, we talked about maybe when we were done here of doing a song that was written by Jay Unger, a guy named Jay Unger, and Ken Burns used this song for Ken Burns's Civil War. The Civil
Very
War.
cool. I'd love to hear that. That'd
Yeah.
be great.
It's about it's a lament, like a Scottish lament.
He just has a new one out called American Revolution now. So
I watched
That's
four
not
he keeps
of
going.
those.
He keeps going.
Yeah, I watched four of those, and it's very interesting.
Very interesting.
He does a good job.
So let's talk about Florida. So which one of you moved to Florida first, and what brought you down here?
Okay, well, my mom and dad moved down here in '89 up in Clearwater, and so we used to come down in February
Every
vacations
year.
and stuff like that, you know, and just go to the beach. So there's no taxes here, right? So we said state taxes. So we said, well, maybe we'll come down too, you know, maybe we'll come to that area. And then at one point, Dad called up and said, I ran into your cousin Marcy, who I haven't seen in like 40 years,
Yeah.
right? And she's in Venice. So and she's in this my Freedom Boat Club thing. So maybe she wants to take you out on a boat and show you around. So we ended up doing that. And my wife just fell in love with downtown Venice and, you know, the area. So when I retired in 14. We stuck around another year in Connecticut because she was a school teacher. She had to do another year with those students. And then we came here and we bought a house in Venice. And that's how we got here. Yeah.
Dana Lawrence tells a story about how you showed up one day in your car with a bunch of stringed instruments and started jamming with them.
No, that was me.
So
That's
was
him.
that you?
Oh, that's him.
That was me.
Yeah,
I
that's him.
crashed his gig at the stop. Yeah, I said,
No,
I got a
my
banjo
entry
in the
into this
car.
thing started with during that year when I was not working and my wife still was. A really good friend had a kidney transplant, and I got a call from another good friend that was running a fundraiser that said, you must be bored because you're not working, and I need a musical director to run this great big event. I want to bring people in from all over the country, from this whole gang. And so I ended up doing. Long story short, I ended up doing that job, networking with all these people, bringing them in. One of them was Lee Stanhope from Sarasota.
Yeah.
And he was in that gang with them up north because he's from up there.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I called him up. What do you want me to do? I said, we'll put a band. Just give me the tunes. We put a band behind him, and he was a fly-in. We just, no equipment or anything, just handed him the rig and the guitar, put him to work. And then we did another fundraiser the following year again, and he came up again. So when I came down here in Venice, it was 2016, he called me up. And he said, you're probably freaking out because you got nobody to play with and you don't know anybody here. So I talked to my band leader, Greg Fisher, and he says, he doesn't know what he can pay you, but if you want to come out and play anytime, you can just, bring a rig and, pop it up with the band anytime. So I started to do that, and I went out and I met, that's where I first started meeting the musicians there.
Yeah.
And from there, I found out about Stretch's 12 noon jam at Aces in Bradenton.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Aces, right?
Sundays.
Somewhere in there, Tommy moved into town, and then we
Yeah.
used to go up every single Sunday at 12 noon and just party and play music
It
and
was
meet
great
all the
getting there,
locals.
scary coming home. Yeah.
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 But we did that, every single Sunday and did a whole bunch of networking that way. And through that, and Chris Dollenbeck, the drummer that works with Lee, uh, one day said to me, I know this guy. He says he's from your hometown down here, Tommy McKnight. And I was like, really? I never heard of him, 'cause he's younger than me. Right?
Because he's from Norwalk.
Yeah, he's from Norwalk,
Yeah.
but I had spent a whole bunch of time there.
Sure.
A lot of musicians I played with were from there.
Yeah, East Norwalk.
So
Yeah,
he
I
said,
know
yeah,
well.
he wants
Stu
to meet,
Leonard's.
he wants to
Yeah,
meet
yeah,
you.
Stu
So,
Leonard's.
we got together at the coffee shop, and I met him, and it turned out he knew absolutely everybody I knew. He'd seen my old band from back in the 70s when he was a kid, and all of that. And so that's how that got going. And that turned into The Verge.
So I want to talk about The Verge because
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
The Verge. I'm a huge fan of The Verge, and I'm hoping and praying that there's a reunion coming up soon.
That's where I met you.
That's right.
You're showing up at Verge gigs. That's
So
that's
I'm
where I
going to
met
let the
you.
listeners know that The Verge, to me, is one of the best classic rock cover bands in the area because they play everything perfectly. You play it note for note, but then you add
Not really.
you add your own little touch to it as well. But you're doing like "Do You Feel Like We Do" by Peter Frampton and like "Dreams," the Hatchet version as opposed to the Allman version.
Yeah.
You're playing songs that like I go, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this live. And you did that on purpose, right? You did that for a reason.
Really, it's this. A lot of this stuff is the stuff we were playing back then. Because we're that age group. And it just turned out when I got here, I said this to McKnight. It's like this is amazing because everybody's coming here now at our age. So and that's what they want to hear because they're the retirees and stuff, and they're here and all of that. So that there was a
But
whole.
you and him were great together because you played off each other so beautifully.
Yeah, well, we tried to do that. You try to give people space to do their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I love his playing.
So is it safe to say that there might be a Verge reunion down the road, just a one time maybe?
Well, it's going to be whenever McKnight feels like he can make it because he's real busy right now.
He's a
got
busy
some
guy.
family issues. He's
Yeah, no,
dealing
I
with.
speak to him a lot. Yeah, he's a great guy and he's got a lot going on.
And his
Awesome.
business is doing really well. So
Right.
so I don't know if he wants. I always told him if you want to do one, let's do another one. I always have fun. I love those guys.
Yeah.
John Polis and Randy.
John just announced that he's taking a break from his current band. He's going to travel a little bit.
I saw
and
that
take his-
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And then Randy, great bass player.
Yeah.
He's hooked up with a like a touring 80s thing or something. Like,
That's what I hear. He says he's on a contract.
he loves it, man. I mean,
he's
that guy
out
has
there
to have a
working.
bass in his hands.
Right,
He's
yeah.
got to be in front of people. He's that kind of guy,
Yeah,
Yeah. And he's really talented.
Great bass player. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
absolutely.
No doubt.
Fantastic.
So what's your story? What brought you down?
Well, same sort of thing in the beginning. My parents were in Clearwater. My two sisters were there, and we were going to come there. And my cousin was here, and then he talked about moving down to Venice. And so my goal was I retired in 2014 also, before him.
Yeah. 6 months ahead.
Yeah. And then every time the railroad would crash and burn, I'd call him on the
Yeah.
phone and give him the business.
Yes.
But my goal was to never see snow again. I had enough of snow.
I know.
So we came down here, and we were doing the things with Stretch, every Sunday. And
Is he still playing, by the way?
yeah.
he's
yeah,
out there. He was
he's
at the
out there.
packing house
Yeah.
last week. Yeah. But so he hooked me up with a gig at the packing house. And,
JR's back in house. Yeah.
Yes. And
I know
I was
JR.
doing a solo thing there or whatever. And Greg Polis and Cindy showed up there. And we wound up talking. I had never met them before. I didn't know who they were. And a little while later, a week or so later, I heard from him, and he said, "Hey, maybe you want to do duo. Come and sit in with me." He was doing something at Stottlemeyer's or whatever. And so we did a few duos together and had a great time. What a great guy. What a shame that he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
It's,
Miss him.
miss him
Good guy.
bigly. But he introduced me to everybody. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have known anybody around here. And that's my whole network comes from Greg, and going to his house. And that's the first time I ever met Dana was at Greg's house for like a Christmas party or something. And we played a couple songs, and I don't even think Dana remembered meeting me there. We were just playing. And then I saw he was playing at Scob, so I crashed his gig. And
Yeah, I mean, the Kettle of Fish is one of the greatest bands around here. I mean, they've been around for a while, and there's always quality musicians in that project.
oh yeah.
So now this leads me to Prodigal Sons. Let's talk about that. So how did that start? What's the deal with that project?
So I started doing some, Dana would ask me to come out and do some duos with him, and we would be doing duos. And then the Prodigal Son started at the place that just closed,
Big Top Live.
the Big Top, yeah. And they wanted us to do St. Patrick's Day, like open up and do like a breakfast, thing or whatever. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. You know?
Now, this is before, like, you already knew Irish tunes at the time.
Oh yeah, I
So
had done the whole Irish thing up
right.
north, and
And I guess I'm assuming Dana's Irish, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
you guys
he's
so
Irish and
so
Scottish.
so
Yeah.
you guys probably know some of these core
Yeah.
songs, or you already know
We
it
know
fluently.
some of the core songs.
Right.
You know, I know a whole bunch of Irish tunes though, and so we went and did that and had a really great time. Actually, I think that year we had like a quad. We did like 4 gigs on St. Patrick's Day. By the end of the day, I was shot.
Yeah, but you hadn't
You
you
know?
made money. You made
Oh,
bank.
a little. Yeah, that wasn't really what we were
You
doing.
Irish
gave it all,
music
gave
is-
it all back,
So
right?
listen, it's in high demand. Irish music isn't like if you're a bagpiper, you can make a
So-
killing on St.
So the
Patrick's Day.
first year we went out there, we didn't have a name. So what were we going to call ourselves? The first year we played, we were Blarney Stoned.
That's a great name, dude.
That's what we were.
Because I remember the Blarney Stones in Manhattan.
Yeah, well,
Right? Remember those?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
It was on every
absolutely.
corner.
The bars
Absolutely.
It was on every corner.
across from Grand Central.
So
Yeah.
the first year we were Blarney Stoned, and we went to go back the next year, and Dana said maybe we should make ourselves a better name. Something
So we could actually get paid.
Yeah. So he said, how about the Prodigal Sons? And I said, yeah, that sounds great.
That's a great name.
So we were doing the duo thing, the Prodigal Sons duo, for a year,
Couple of years.
Yeah, and then John came back down because he had kind of bounced around a little bit, and we said, hey, why don't you come do the trio? Because I know that the vocals are what we're about.
I'm going to tell our listeners right now, if they haven't seen Prodigal Sons, they have to go because the 3-part harmonies are worth the price of admission right there.
And that's I'm
For
loving
us
it.
too.
Yeah,
I mean that's why I do it.
yeah, and I get a
Yeah.
It's
chance to
very
play with
unique.
my
You
brother.
guys are
It's-
doing it's almost a lost art. You guys are doing something that nobody around here is doing.
It's fun.
Yeah, we're really enjoying it too. I mean, that's what we do it for. I mean, it's not paying my bills.
And naturally the three of us go to a different place. And he spent years and years analyzing. All my life I've been hearing him talk about those middle John Lennon harmonies.
Yeah.
You know,
The middle
and
ones and the
he
long
hears
ones.
those and he
Yes.
goes right for them. So those aren't your thirds and your fifths.
Yeah.
Those are
Very smart.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something in the middle. Well,
Yeah.
Well, I played in a band called Years Gone for years up in
For
Connecticut,
years ago.
and there 4 of us. We had 4-part harmonies. So
Wow.
so you always had to find that other one that was find one in the middle of everything else, because you got your basic 3-part harmony thing, and then you had to pick out the 4th one.
Was there ever a point in your careers, man, like somebody like a producer out of New York might come up to you and say, "Hey, man, let's get you in a studio, let's do some original stuff." That ever come across at all or presented to you?
I can't recall. I don't
No,
know.
me either.
Because
I
there was so
remember
much
getting-
talent in your area.
I remember getting calls to go do some work in New York. Can you come in and sing a couple parts on this thing, or can you come in and do a solo for this song for this guy?
Yeah.
And you roll in there, and you like Electric Ladyland. I remember going. Linda Niver had a friend, and she said, he heard you on something. He said he wants to know if you can come in and do
Yeah.
these parts. I said, yeah, sure, I'll come in and do it. And it was at Electric Ladyland. And I had a blast. And so somewhere out there, I didn't even know who the guy was. I just went and did my parts and
Yeah,
left.
and I've done some pickup studio stuff too, but like nobody's ever said we're gonna make you a star or
Right.
anything like
Yeah.
that.
Do you guys
Right,
ever
right.
record at home
Right.
or just mess around? Or
Well, he does.
I've got a Logic Studio at home that I fool around with.
and have you written songs? You have a bunch
I
of
got a whole
songs?
bunch of tunes I've written.
Are they something that perhaps maybe you might want to share with people at some point? Or
I don't know. I kind of done demos at home. At some point, maybe I'll drag them out again. I mean, it's just a matter of time, these days with what I'm doing.
well, I think you guys are so freaking talented
know?
that I think you need to share that gift, right? Is it a
Well,
gift?
I would say it is.
Were you born with
know?
something special? Do you think like were you different than the kids your age growing up, or is it learned, or do you have something inside of you that just comes out as you mature?
I think all musicians have something inside them. My friend Tom always felt that people that play music, that the music is in the air, and people are sort of like antennas. And
Keith
it
Richards
passes
said that
through
one
them.
time.
And it's and I mean, I think there might be something to that.
Like the universe is speaking, but not 99.9% of us can't hear it,
Yeah.
except those few that like it just comes in. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
Right? They get it.
I think some people get it more than others. That's where you get some
Right.
of this iconic music.
like I think Paul McCartney's a genius, right? I
sure.
think there's certain musicians around that are just like Beethoven-esque, right?
yeah, but I mean, I think you've got to really work on it to find out if you even got it. I think.
And then you got to practice it. You got to
Yeah,
hone it.
I don't think everybody is got the ability, but a lot of people are walking around and probably have it and don't even know they have it because they don't do
Because
any
they
work
never
on
did it. Right.
You know, so I think it's a learned thing too.
Well, when
I
all
mean,
those
you
gigs
know,
you did in the 70s and 80s, you taught yourself how to sing, basically,
well,
right?
you know,
And how to
Gladwell
harmonize.
says what 10,000 hours. I got way more than that. You know, but who knows? I mean, other people may have that too, and they put the 10,000 hours in, and who do you have at the end of that? I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, so I'm not going to be,
Yeah.
oh, you got this cosmic innate talent,
Well,
kind of thing.
there could be an argument though for drummers. I think drummers are a whole different animal, right? You have to have that gift. I think you don't just learn to become a
But
drummer.
can you hear the groove and not be able to play it? I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's all that, right?
Yeah, but you got to be able to do all this shit as a drummer, which I can't even do it with one hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had drums in my house for a while. Not my thing.
No, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably the least educated person during the 80s when I worked with all these Berkeley and Eastman brads, like every day.
Are you self-taught?
Yeah, I'm self-taught. I mean, I've taken lessons,
Right.
and that kind of thing. I'm not lessonless, but I learned most of what I learned by hanging around with people who were really educated, and spending a lot of time with them.
Yeah, it's always
You
good to
know.
play with people that are better than you.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at me.
Yeah.
All my musicians are always better than me. It makes me a better musician.
Yep. You pick
But I
stuff
remember,
up.
I remember Marvin Stamm telling me, the jazz trumpet player, asked me on a break one day, how many lessons have you taken? I said, limited. He goes, don't take any more. I said, what are you talking about? Because I was trying to get Drew Zing to give me some lessons, and he's like, you don't need to. I said, well, why not? He goes, well, you don't want to overthink it. He goes, let me tell you how it works. He goes, I was in everything, like junior high band, high school band, blah, blah, blah. I went off. I got a degree in music. I got a master's in music theory, everything else, And then I got a diploma. And the day they gave me the diploma, I had the hat and gown on, and I took the diploma, and I said, what now? So he goes, now those people have to turn around and go all the way back, to
Play
the
for
street,
$100.
to the street. No, mentally
Yes.
to the street, to where they were kids, and ground themselves in who they really are. And the people that can do that and then keep going, those are the best in the world.
I see your point.
He says the other ones, he goes, they try to they can never get back there, or maybe they get there and they can never come back there. Those are the people, they're going to go out, high school music teachers,
right,
and stuff like that.
That's a very good
what
point.
I mean?
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Well, but let me ask you this question. I mean, you're blues-based guitar player.
Yes.
So you're heavily influenced on the blues, like you mentioned Cream.
I learned everything from Eric Clapton.
But the point I'm trying to make is that you have to have feel. Like to play the blues properly, you have to have feel, man. Am I right?
Yes.
Like
I
you
think
have
to
to
play
pedal-
any music,
yeah.
you have to have feel.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that these MIT guys or whatever, Berkeley guys, perhaps they haven't lived the blues or felt the blues or had any type of conflict in their life that might teach them that there's pain and sorrow that could be translated.
Yeah, I think you have to have enough facility, like I was saying before. You have to go out and work on your craft, right? And then once you have that enough facility, you can stop thinking about that when you're performing, and it just
Right.
comes out in
Right.
Some of them
Yeah.
are unbelievably good. I mean, I opened a couple times for Sierra Hull,
Oh, she's amazing.
and she's just
Absolutely.
the sweetest girl, and she is fantastic.
Yeah,
And she actually, I think she was the first one to graduate with a master's of mandolin from Berkeley.
Interesting.
And
Wow.
she's just fantastic and the nicest person.
yeah.
And so I mean, there's always that too, I mean, and there's other people that, like my friend Darryl. I don't think he took music lessons per se. He comes from a very musical family, but he did go to school for like English literature and stuff like that. And he's a crafter of songs for sure.
It's a great song.
He's
Well, that brings me back to Rob Mathis because he's a composer and arranger, but he's also a performer and an entertainer.
when
Right?
you said Rob Mathis, last time I saw Rob, he was doing 4 Grammy guys in a like a Nashville circle with my friend Darryl, and I can't remember who the other 2 guys were. But I remember when I
He gets
got there, I
around.
said, Rob Mathis. I said, it's like his boy Elroy Rob Mathis. He said, yeah. I said, oh
Remember,
my
he used to
God.
take those Dylan songs and like Maggie's Farm, and he would like make them his
Yes,
own, right?
yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yes.
And he wrote a song called Jennifer's Jamboree. I guess his sister's name was
Yeah.
Jennifer, and she didn't want to go to a party, so he wrote a song. My sister won't be seen. at Jennifer's Jamboree or something. And I'm like, how cool is this guy writing these lyrics like that at that young age, right?
Interesting guy.
I think no matter what you play, you have to make it your own. I think that's the way you,
Right.
that's the way you
Yeah.
project. I know I do everything that I play. I try to play it.
I think that's what separates the just the hacks to the artists when you're now you believe it and you're performing it.
I
right?
own
and
it.
you make it your own, right?
Yeah, I
It's a
own it
different
for
story
sure.
at that
I
point.
own everything I
It's a
play.
maturity, right? Is
Yeah.
it? Would you say it's like almost like an evolution of being a player, then becoming a musician, and
Yeah.
then becoming a
Well,
performer,
there's a point.
and then becoming an entertainer, right?
You get to a point where you love what you do, and you hope that other people love what you do, but you don't really care whether they love it or not. It's
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, what keeps me going is the applause and people pat me on the back. I love that stuff. And that's what makes me continue because I do it for them. I'm
I'm
like,
not saying I don't love that. I'm not saying I don't love that when people
recognition
and all
is
that.
huge.
Yes, recognition is nice, but when it comes as far as actually playing and giving it what you have to give, I give it what I have to give, and I really hope you like it.
Yeah.
I really hope you
And,
can
and in your
applaud
case,
and
people
enjoy
do,
it.
right? So it's
And-
like, you know,
right.
yeah.
So, but I mean, as far as am I going to change it because somebody doesn't like it? No.
So let's go to this next question then. So what do you guys think about the state of music today? Because as I mentioned earlier in the show, you know, I'm a huge fan of the 70s and I'll debate anybody that the 70s was the greatest, right? The way they played, the way they recorded, right? Now it's like everything's different, you know, and there's a
Yeah.
whole hodgepodge of music. You know, what are your thoughts on that? Like some of the artists, I mean, are you even listening to any of the newer stuff today? Or are you still kind of gravitating back to some of the older stuff?
I just always find that I don't have much time to listen to anything really. You want to?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm learning stuff for the gigs I'm playing, and I'm doing that. And other than that, I'm hanging out with my family.
Yeah, that's
and,
true too.
And
I-
doing doing other
maybe when
good
you're in the
stuff.
car, but then
Yeah.
again, when I'm in the car, even I'm listening to stuff that I need to be able to bone up on.
Yeah,
it.
so am I. But there's
Yeah.
one band that came out in the 90s that was refreshing at the time, the Black Crowes.
I like
Yes.
the Black Rose.
Because they were young guys that were playing the blues right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think Hard to Handle is their song because they did it so well.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. Chris Robinson.
Every time they roll through town, I have to be there.
The Wood Brothers. I don't know if you know them. The Wood Brothers are fantastic. Actually, there's a whole bunch of people on the other side of not rock and roll. You know, they're just, but the Wood Brothers are kind of rock and roll. They kind of play the middle,
Yeah.
you know?
My new music thing is actually the people that I see. I mean, lately it's the jam band kids. You know, my son's in that world.
That's right. Let's talk about that.
So you know, Eggy. You know, it was Goose before that. They took off. They're from Connecticut.
Yeah.
You know, all those kids used to come and jam with us. You know, and
How do you
they're-
describe their music?
Well, they're jammers.
Jam
you know,
bands.
I mean, it's all about getting to the jamming. You know, verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
But
so
jamming in a
and we're
sense,
off,
jamming
you
in
know?
a sense of like Dead or Almonds or Dave Matthews. Like if you had to kind of try to put it in a box.
Most of it comes from that Grateful Dead,
Yeah, the Dead thing.
kind of
Yeah.
foundation, you know. But it's got all the other elements because you know it just seems to me. And here's another observation. When I was a kid playing music, nobody had any money, you know. And we were all a bunch of blue collar kids. If you needed a guitar, you'd buy another. You'd have to sell one to buy another one. Today, these kids, I don't know where they get the money, but they're you know up there. They all got degrees. You know, they're all going to Berkeley. They all got degrees. They can all play. I mean, up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, you've got this place,
Yeah.
you know, the Park City Music Hall. It's just loaded with like talented kids that can play.
Do you think that's
It's
because
yeah.
their dads are all guys who are like
Well, there's a lot of that.
lived the classic
There's
rock
absolute in the Northeast.
Yeah,
There's a ton of that. You know,
hand me down.
yeah. I mean, these couple of bands that I'm talking about and others, you know, I mean, you know, yeah, the degrees come. They somehow they have the time and the money and the equipment and everything at a young age. You know, when I was 19, I was out, you know, pounding out for a paycheck and taking care of babies.
Right.
Do you guys when you're not playing when you're not doing Prodigal Sons,
Yeah.
are you trying to go out and do you get a chance to hear other bands or do you got to go out to hear other music or is it difficult?
It's difficult. Yeah. I like to. I try to get out when I can. I've been trying to get up. It was Sunday at least with these guys playing it.
Yeah, are you still are you
It's-
there with them on Sundays, the Kettle?
I was
The
there.
Start-up-
I
the
was there
Start-up?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
always
mean,
a fun day.
whenever Thorson's off, generally, But the last couple times Robin's been off, he's put me on as the second guitar player with Thorson. We're having a blast.
That should be
Thorsten's
fun.
We had a
fantastic.
blast
Oh, I love Thorson,
yesterday.
yeah.
The last
Fantastic.
time we did it, we had a blast. That's a lot of fun.
And great guy. Yeah. I like Thorsten a lot.
And the bass player, solid.
Chris, John Pettis.
John Pettis, right
and
now.
Chris was in the Girton.
Yeah,
was
Chris
before
Girton
that.
Yeah,
was in there
he
before.
moved off to 22.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Pettis seems to be there a lot now.
Good.
Yeah.
And then Pat McDonald's back now, right?
Yep.
On the drums.
Yep.
Well,
Pat was on my show.
Pat
told the story.
was rock.
He's got a great story to tell, man. And that whole Charlie Daniels thing was
Yeah.
amazing.
He's fun.
17 years, I think it was. He said.
Yeah,
with Charlie.
17 years with Charlie.
He is a funny guy.
He was up
Yeah.
in Nashville this week doing some kind of Charlie
Yeah, I
Daniels
saw
tribute
that.
session.
I saw that, yeah.
So maybe there's
So
something coming
Steve
out of
Camilleri is a guy that fills in for you guys, and he
Yep.
fills in with us, jacked up.
Yep.
Another great drummer.
Yeah, he's
Great
great.
guy.
You know,
Great guy.
some of the best drummers are the ones that you don't really notice back there. They're just doing it. You know, they're not flashy. They're just doing what they got to do, and
Yep.
they're not like in. You know,
I love Steve's meter.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, they come
So,
from good
so
stock.
as we get ready to close up the show, so how do people find out about Prodigal Sons? Like, when can they see you? Like, how do they learn about all that stuff?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
So is it
pretty
Prodigal
much. There's
Sons
a
on
Prodigal Son
Facebook?
page,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there
Yep.
a website too? Is there anything on
no,
Instagram?
No
website.
website. No.
No.
But
Just-
but Dana will post the Prodigal Son stuff and cross pollinate with Kettle of Fish
Yeah,
these days because
yeah.
he's running both.
Right, and,
You know,
and
yeah.
Kettle's got a huge enough
Right.
following that
Yeah.
a lot of the fans probably come out of there to see you
They
guys,
do.
right?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, they do. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
been good for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
and since we're in season now, are there a lot of Prodigal shows coming up down the pike?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, some festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I
a-
could probably pull out the phone and take a look.
where are we
when
this
we-
week?
when we're
We'll be,
supposed
we'll be
to.
Wednesday at Stottlemyre's this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
I
be-
saw that.
Yeah,
you know
we'll be
that's
down-
interesting because they usually don't have bands of your quality on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
gonna go. I'll
Well,
be
it's
able
the
to.
Dana's birthday too.
Oh, that's what it
You
is.
know.
Oh,
So it's
yes,
a
it
birth-
is.
so it's a
Dana's
birthday party, yeah.
birthday.
And
That's right.
And then we're doing the
And-
Paragon Festival.
Yeah.
Down in Punta Gorda.
So I do that
this
too.
weekend.
So I'll be
Yeah.
in Punta Gorda. I'm going to be there on Sunday. You guys, I think, are there on a
I think
Saturday.
we're there Saturday.
Yeah, Friday will be right over here at Arts and Central
Okay.
Right.
from 6 to 10.
Arts and Central,
Yep.
6 to
On
10
Friday.
in downtown Sarasota.
Yep.
Yep.
I highly recommend people listening to this to go see them.
Yep.
When's the next one after that? Is that the Punta Gorda?
That's the Punta
Saturday at
Gorda.
Punta Gorda.
Okay, the next day.
And then and we're doing a double that day, but I think it's sold out. The one at Fogartyville. Are we?
No, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what
Not
the
sure.
story is.
So I'm going
with
to
that.
take this time to tell our listeners this weekend is the Punta Gorda Seafood Festival. It's in Lashley Park, which is downtown Punta Gorda.
Yep.
My band Jacked Up, we play it every year. So there's a great lineup. It's free admission, free parking, right? I think it's dog friendly, provided that they're on a leash. But what I like about it is the beer is ice cold and the seafood is delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Kinney does a great job.
Bill Kenny, good
Bill
guy.
Kenny does a
Bill
great
Kenny
job.
he was on the show.
Yep.
The food is delicious.
Yep.
I love try something different every time I go there.
And we're 12:30 to 2, I believe.
That's my favorite time slot. It's gonna be a little chilly this week, so I recommend people to bring a jacket.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
But then we're doing Coquina after that.
and we're doing
We're doing that
Coquina
too.
also.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Don't you just
day.
love those festivals?
I love the
Because,
festivals.
yes.
First of all, I love the stage.
Yeah.
The sound people that he has.
They always
They
do a great
phenomenal
job.
Yes. Yes.
The crowd seems to be really into it. You
Yeah,
know, it's like
Coquina is the 4:30 to 6 on the 23rd, which is a Friday. Because I know I leave on my cruise the next day.
Uh-huh.
Look at
There
you
go.
cruising. Were you going to Mexico?
No, actually, we're going to the islands, the Caribbean.
Are you? So you going out of Miami then, or Fort Lauderdale? You're not going.
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Tampa basically takes you to Mexico more or less.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
And I've already done that 2 times. I'm getting sick of Cozumel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get harassed. Every time I get off the boat, I get harassed.
We go to a really good place there. You know, it's limited to 150 people. It costs you like $65. It's all inclusive.
Nice.
So-
Yeah,
So,
he knows where to go.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about how we have something in common. So you guys have both worked with my cousin, Ricky Williams, known as Rich Williams.
Yeah, Rich
He
Williams.
lives in
Can't believe
Vermont
that.
now. He's retired,
Yeah,
right?
fantastic. Very, very close friend. I worked in Stanford, he worked in Stanford with me for years.
He was
Yeah.
always very serious about his music.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was really a good listener.
And he knew about
He would go to a
electronic
lot of
stuff.
yeah. He's a very bright guy.
Yeah.
I think his IQ was off the chart. I mean,
He's a very smart guy.
but he would always go to the best jazz clubs, and he knew the best people. He was a very connected guy.
Oh yeah, no, he
Didn't he
definitely-
live next door to Catch 22?
He did, right across the street. Right across the street from Catch
Right
22.
on the beach in Stanford, Connecticut.
How great is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, right across, little tiny bar in a residential area.
Yeah.
I love those kind of bars.
So you're going to play us a song, take us out.
Yeah,
Is that great?
Sure,
We'd
sure.
love it.
We're going to do a song that was written by a fellow named Jay Unger, about a town that was where they made a reservoir and flooded the town out. And it's
By accident, I assume.
no, on purpose. They made
Wow.
a reservoir. They built a dam, and there's
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get rid of people, I guess.
in New York State.
Yeah, upstate New York. Right?
Yeah, Ashoke in New York, and this one it's like a Scottish lament tune.
Yes.
So I figured this would be a good one to close with.
Let's do it, guys.
I'll play this one in memory of Miss Kitty, who we lost today.
Oh, I'm so
19
sorry to hear
years
that.
old. 19
sorry to
years
hear
old. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Very nice. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Well,
Our
thanks
pleasure.
for having us.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
definitely
having
a
us.
Johnny,
pleasure.
thanks for
Yep.
coming on the show. And Tommy.
Yep,
My
thanks,
pleasure.
Fred.
And I'm going to advise everybody to go see you as many times as they can.
Mm.
Prodigal Sons.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks
you.
very much.
Bye-bye.